Okay, let's go straight to the point. Caroline, why do you paint flowers?
Right, that's a real loaded question. It is, it really is. And I would get asked that often maybe by customers or people that come to workshops, or when, I'm even approaching stockists, there's flowers on everything. And I think for me, it comes right back down to what I feel when I want to create. What is going to spark a bit of joy? Like if there's no end game, like, oh my goodness, I have to produce a collection of clothing or I have to produce a body of artwork with no pressure, what would I love to paint just for the fun of it? And it's still always flowers, And then when I look further back, for me, it's like, everything is a bit of a cliche. Everything goes back to childhood, doesn't it? Oh yeah. And, I grew up in a household and, there was 5 kids, it was busy, but Mum was great. She was very creative in her own way. She would sew us clothes, seamstress, put her hand to anything, and she could do it in the home. And then my dad worked really, really hard and was away like long days, but when he did come home and he'd be out in the garden, so I went out to the garden. I think looking back, that's how I was able to connect with my dad at a very young age. And he'd always be in the garden. We had birds, we had dogs. We grew up in the town. It wasn't a massive garden, but he had like a little aviary with canaries. So I wouldn't even have to talk. The two of us would just be out and I'd be helping him weed or plant new flowers or transfer other flowers from one pot to another. And I think I always had that. I always had that love of being out in nature and connection to people and to nature through flowers.
And when you choose your flowers, does the symbolism of the flower influence your choices, or is it more the colours, the texture?
Yeah, I think MD is a little bit of both. Maybe a few years ago when, everything has a very deep connection for me, into my soul, and more in the later years, meditation and why I do certain things. So I think years ago, like in my late teens, early 20s at college, I kind of didn't know why I was painting them, But now, as you get older, you learn more, and I'm looking into, what's the symbolism of hydrangeas, but only after I paint them. Yeah, or it could be, they're beautiful roses, like walking along a street. Oh, I'm going home to paint roses. I'm going to find some nice photographs. Maybe I have some photographs from last year I took, and you're kind of bringing those things out. But then I might go, wow, what is the symbolism of those, And then I did a whole birth, like I was painting them, for birthdays and what flower was popular in the month. I did a lot of that last year, and then before I painted it, I was looking up what they symbolise. So it was quite nice. You'd be surprised kind of what they symbolise. But then again, I go, what you look up and what you research mightn't be what you feel. So you just kind of have to take your own feeling from it, when you look at something.
Okay, and tell me about your teaching, because you do run workshops. How does it feel to be in the teacher position or a facilitator?
I've come to that very late. It's been lingering and little sparks of thoughts about that for the last 10 years or so. And I'm very busy with my own work. Like, I could really just not do it. I could really just continue on and paint, create my products, my cushions, my different ranges, and go, I have no time to invite anybody into my space to teach them, But then I kept getting this little spark of like the idea those ideas come, I think, when you're very quiet. You need to give yourself time and quiet space. And for me, like early morning meditation over a cup of hot water and lemon, or a coffee if I need to wake up, and a little bit of quiet time. And then that idea just comes back in again. So I think if you have an idea or you're meant to do something, it just keeps nudging you. So that's really what happened. I just kept getting that nudge. But I was so nervous, Dee. I was so nervous the first one. I kept thinking, oh, I need some beautiful big space. This was when I was back working in my home studio. I couldn't do it here. My studio's too small. And I said, oh, I need to find some big space, but couldn't find it. Didn't really do any research to look for it. Yeah. So there was definitely the fear was there, like, can I even teach? Or, you know, but I was like, this really, like, I have my creativity for a reason. Like, I'm able to paint for a reason, and it's not just for me. It needs to be shared. Now, that can be shared just by somebody buying a painting. But I was like, no, there's something else, you know, just to be of service to other people or to help them really feel a bit of joy. And I was like, right, no, I'm just going to do it. And then one morning I was looking out and I was looking into my living room. I have an extension on the house. And I just said, well, if I move the dining table out and move all the cupboards and the sofa and have no furniture left for the rest of my family for a day, I could easily fit about 10, 12 people in there on long tables. And I went, you know what, I'm just going to do that. And I went, right, that's it. And I went up to my computer and I wrote out a little thing and planned out a workshop. And I said, before I can even think about it, I'm just going to release that out onto Instagram and onto the website, into my newsletter. And couldn't believe it was just sold out in a day. And I was like, wow, okay, so there is a need or there is a want for that. Yeah. And then I got really nervous because I just had to do it. Yeah. So that's where it started. Yeah.
How does it feel when you're facilitating in the moment or after?
Yeah, I think the nerves come even 3 years on from teaching classes. Not so much now, but if I'm doing something slightly different, maybe. Mm-hmm. Like tomorrow, I have a very new workshop going on and I'm nervous, jittery about it, where it's really coming more into what I think people need. So we're starting off with Pilates to move our bodies on a lovely Sunday morning, and then I'm going to facilitate short meditation, tea and coffee, and then we're going to paint. So I'm hoping to really bring people back into their bodies, back into their soul as such and out of their head, and then we're going to paint. So I'm nervous about that tomorrow. But I know that when I start, you do feel calm, you feel, you know, joy. I can easily help people. It's amazing. I don't know where it comes from. Yeah. I really don't. You know, I wouldn't think I'm the best speaker. I was always nervous about speaking, and you know, if I ever had to do it years ago, I'd be jumbling over my words. So that fear was there. But really, when I'm in the class, there's nothing like that. Sure, for a time I'm just painting and people are watching me paint, so what's so hard about it? You know, but and then at the end of the class, when people look at what they've created and they're so happy with it and they're asking all the questions and they wanted to do it for years, yeah, it's an amazing feeling to everybody walking off delighted with themselves, you know.
And I've noticed on Instagram they kind of, every time you put a workshop, they're all sold out pretty quickly. So obviously the word is spreading and people are recommending it to others.
Yeah, it's great. And I'd have repeat customers coming back again and again. And, you know, and a lot of them say, wow, I just didn't know what paints to use or what canvas. It's just giving people practical tips because no one's going to paint like me. I'm not going to paint like them. You know, it's not a class for directly copying what I'm doing. It's just the tools. It's knowing the tools and giving yourself the time and the space, and everybody's works out completely different. But to help people with that. And then they're sending me pictures of them when they try at home or they do their own. It's just like, yes.
Amazing.
You know,
spreading the creativity. Okay, and tell me, when you're working on your own series, when you're in the middle of painting, how does it feel? How do you feel in your body, in your mind? Just explain the sensations.
I think that can be a mix of emotions. So if I wanted to create a new collection of artwork, I could have 110 ideas, okay? So you have to go, well, what am I going to do first? And you hone in, and you're really excited about that. But it's a really crazy thing, Dee, that you get an awful amount of resistance. So when something's new and something's hard, I feel the resistance coming in. Like, I might come in the morning to start and say, right, I'm starting that first and I'm doing my emails at 3 o'clock. I come in and I go, I'll just make a cup of coffee. okay, this is going to be hard later on. Maybe I'll just do the emails first, and then it's like 12 o'clock and you don't start. So if I notice myself getting like that, I have to be very hard on myself and just go, just take out the paints. One job done. Okay, break it down. Okay, put the canvas on the wall or put the canvas on the easel. Get all out my preparation work, my photographs, all my inspirations, put them out. And then I might go home and I go, well, at least that's done. I'll come back in tomorrow morning and then I'm ready to just go for it. So sometimes it works like that. That there's a lot of resistance and the fear of not getting the idea out that you wanted to get out. It's not always easy.
And if painting wouldn't be your form of creative expression, what would you do? Or what would be?
What would be? Well, I know everything I do starts with painting, even the fashion range. So even if it wasn't that, you mean? So it wasn't anything to do with anything I create at the moment.
That's a strange question.
It's a strange question, but I think if I couldn't paint, right, I think I would still keep going. I would need to find an outlet, you know. As a creative person, and I see that with loads of different people, they're not just in one lane. You know, like I'm here and I'm like, oh, I'm going to try a scarf, and oh, maybe bed linen, like, and it's so strange going from like, you know, luxury silk fashion to tea cozies, you know. But the ideas just keep coming. So I think if I couldn't do that, maybe music. I loved music growing up, and I played the recorder and the trumpet, would you believe? And I was in the Drogheda brass band marching down the road. So unfortunately now I don't play any music. I got out of it. But I think there's always something that you could do. And I love going to plays. Like I love going to shows, and I'm in so much in awe for people that act. So unless it be something like that, you know, some kind of performance or the spoken word, like poetry or something like that, definitely. But I don't know whether I could make a career out of it. I wouldn't be very good, but I'd have lots of fun.
Yeah. There's always that temptation to try something new, to express yourself creatively in different ways.
Yeah, and I think it's great, and I don't think it dilutes. You know, I've heard some people say, well, you know, you stick to your lane and really niche it in and focus on that one project, because if you do a few different things, which I do, I don't think it dilutes it. Some people say, oh, well, it dilutes your focus. Maybe for a time. You know, at the moment, in these few weeks, I'm really kind of pushing out my workshops, because I think it's a lovely thing to do at the start of the year, you know, focus on your creativity. So, you know, I'm really focusing on that. And then I have a fashion range to do next month. So then the energy goes into that. Yeah. And then there'll be a collection of new artwork after that. So I think it can be a lot of things. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And do you sometimes find challenging or surprising that people who will come to a workshop are not sure if they're creative or are not sure if they can create? Is there any self-doubt that you have to deal with as a facilitator?
Absolutely. I won't lie, 97% of the people coming in feel like that. Mm-hmm. They're nervous, you know, but I think that's across the board for any new thing you go. Like if you're starting a Pilates class or yoga, you're going to be nervous that you're not going to be up to scratch from the lady at the top that's doing it like 6 years or whatever, or all her life. You know, nobody's ability is going to be the same, but everybody comes in nervous. So I try my best to break the ice, you know, and people will say it, you know, it's or some people might be kind of quieter in the class. So I like to make my way around and kind of feel how people are thinking, ask a couple of questions, and I think I always try and make people feel at ease, you know, by the end of it. And people ask questions, and it's great. And as soon as they ask, there's going to be 3 other people saying, oh God, I never knew that about the paint or the brushes, you know, or maybe I can do it. And everybody's so encouraging in the class. You know, you'd have people walking past going, wow, I love your piece, it's beautiful. I was like, really, do you think so? So everybody encourages people in the class. So there's a really good atmosphere. Actually, I'm blessed. I don't think I have anybody that's been in a bad mood in my class or any negativity, you know, before or after. You know, like even if I think about it like a product reviewer, I've had nobody saying anything negative about it, which is amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
I have a sense that when you do facilitate workshop, you're not just an art teacher, you're there to hold the space, to create a safe space, and by you setting up a tone, it allows them then to be supportive and non-judgmental, and I think that's a beauty of any great workshop like that. That's around creativity and well-being, because I think that's what you bring together.
Yeah, and that's what I really want to bring together, and that was the dream for this space. So we're sitting talking in my new studio space, and I really think this is, you know, where I'm meant to be for this part of my life, you know, really for what my soul wants to bring to the world, you know, to really marry, you know, the lived life. So we're here for a short amount of time, but you know, I really believe that my soul has been here before, it will live on, and for this moment in time, I'm really meant to find balance and harmony between what's going on in the living world, you know, all your materialistic things, you have to bring up your family, and also within my soul and my soul's journey as well. So at the moment, the inspiration is like that, to facilitate people in this space and really make this space a hub locally, you know, nationally, if people want to come here, and really find a little bit of joy and a little bit of space to be creative here, and then bring that with them to their homes or wherever they go after the workshops.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was lovely.
I love it.
Thanks for having us. That's it.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That wasn't so bad.
No, it was great. It was great.
Okay.